I was amused by the Limp Bizkit car ride scene because that
Oh,
is just
that was
something that no, not in a good way. I am amused because it was like you're a dickhead because you had
It
to
was
put
just
your own song.
so stupid and obvious.
Welcome in, everybody, to another HTGS horror movie review this week. We might have put ourselves in a bind on this one, boys. We are covering The Fanatic, starring John Travolta, directed by Fred Durst? Question mark, question mark. Why question mark? There's a lot to talk about on this movie. I am your host, Rob Coakley, joined as always by Dave Wilkins.
I'm so excited.
And by Jesse Wilkins.
Hey there.
And I think there's going to be a lot to say about this movie, but I guess we start with the synopsis for it.
Yes.
Take it away, Dave.
The Fanatic, 2019, directed by Fred Durst. Yes, seriously. John Travolta plays Moose, a bowl-cut-wearing superfan with zero chill who becomes dangerously obsessed with a washed-up horror actor. When he's denied an autograph, things escalate fast, from awkward encounters to full-on home invasion. It's Misery Meets the Room, directed by the guy from Limp Bizkit, complete with a Limp Bizkit car ride scene. Cringy, chaotic, and unintentionally hilarious, The Fanatic is the stalker thriller that nobody asked for. So,
where did you pull that review? Where did you pull that synopsis from?
I pulled it online, but I added my own little flair to it. Because this one's special, because this is a stupid movie. But it was delightfully stupid. So this movie we knew wasn't going to be a good movie, and it definitely wasn't good. But it was enjoyable. I actually had a great time watching it because it was unintentionally funny. It reminded me of The Room because it wasn't trying to be funny, but it was, because John Travolta was really trying to be Dustin Hoffman from Rain Man, and he didn't pull it off. It was much closer to Sean Penn and I Am Sam, but just didn't work. And it was cringy to watch. It had a secondhand embarrassment because John Travolta, who is usually pretty good, I liked him in Pulp Fiction. He's done some cool stuff. Was really bad in this. It was not a good performance by Travolta. And but it was, for that reason, it was really funny. Unintentionally, just hilarious.
I knew this was going to be bad going into it. It's just, you just knew. I mean, all the elements around it. Buddy, I did not think it was going to be as bad as it was with his performance.
Oh, with his performance, yeah. What I will say is, like, I knew this movie wasn't going to be good, and it wasn't good, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be either. It was actually, like, kind of well shot. It was produced, like, it looked like a real movie. It didn't look
that part I agree with. I thought it was, like, well shot, and I actually think there is some good acting in this movie. I'm a big fan of Devon Sawa. I think he was really good in the Chucky series. Obviously, he was a kid actor. He was in Casper and other movies. He's in Final
Destination, right? Yeah,
Final Destination as well. So, like, we grew up kind of watching him through different movies. I thought he was actually really good in this movie.
Yeah, he was good.
I thought he played his character well, but there's so much to talk about. And before we get into it, just get Jesse's quick opening thoughts on this.
So I enjoyed this more than I should have for a multitude of reasons. Number one is I watched the wrong movie first. And the movie that I watched was called Fanatic. This is called The Fanatic. And Fanatic was considerably worse than this movie. It was one of the worst movies I've ever watched. I didn't end up finishing it, so maybe it gets really good. But it had absolutely atrocious acting across the board. This is not a review on that movie, just a warning. If you go to watch this movie, don't accidentally watch Fanatic, which is also, I think we watched it. I think this was on Tubi for free? The
I
Fanatic?
watched it on Amazon for free.
Okay. All right. Well, Fanatic was on Tubi, rightfully for free. I feel like they probably should pay me to watch as much as I watched that movie by accident. And then thank God, I didn't finish it. So, anyways, going from that movie to this movie, I was like, this movie's great. This is one of the best movies I've ever seen. So I enjoyed this. It's an unnatural amount of enjoyment that came from watching this movie. And yeah, the warning signs were right there. I'm watching. I'm like, all right, so John Travolta's eventually going to show up. And then I think, Dave, you had texted me like, John Travolta's in the first scene. I'm like, okay, I have not seen him. I'm watching the wrong movie. You like bailed me out there. I'm like, I get to not watch this movie anymore. Thank God.
I really thought you were going to hit me with a holy shit, that's John Travolta.
No, there was no John Travolta in that movie. But anyways, I kind of enjoyed watching this movie. I mean, knowing that it was Fred Durst, who wasn't only the director, but he was also one of the two writers on the movie, the bar was really low. I was like, I enjoy Fred Durst. We actually, strangely enough, the reason that we're reviewing this movie is because Fred Durst was a surprise appearance in the Y2K movie that we covered, and he was just about the only good thing about that movie. So I don't think any of us really thought it was going to be good. We had known that it wasn't getting good reviews, so we had known going into this that it wasn't going to be very good. But yeah, I got big he's trying to do Rainman stuff vibes throughout the movie. I honestly didn't hate his character as much as I should have. I thought this wasn't a horror movie, so that's the kicker, right? I mean, it's listed as every other kind of movie except for horror. We have psychological drama, psychological thriller, suspense, mystery, crime, drama, mystery, thriller. At least that's what IMDb is listing it as. So I would not call this a horror movie, but it did have some horror movie type scenes. There were a lot of tense moments because he's basically just a full-blown stalker. You get the little glimpse of him wearing the Jason mask towards the end there. So you have some horror movie elements, or at least, it pays homage to some horror movies. But yeah, I thought there was some good acting throughout. And like Dave said, it was shot well enough, and it could have been much worse. But
this movie's bad. I just want everyone to know this movie is not good. I know it sounds like people are saying it's good. This is a bad movie. We're going to talk about why it's bad, but it's watchable.
Fun fact about this movie is actually, so Fred Durst based this on an actual interaction that he had with a fan who was just way too obsessed and was, similar to the character that John Travolta was playing, and kept harassing him about autographs and whatnot, and was way too enthusiastic. And he was like, dude, this would make a great horror movie. So that's a fun little fact about this movie.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, this is all like his friend's fault, right? Like she knows how obsessed he is and how kind of unhinged he gets around like celebrities. Why would she tell him about the Starfinder app? So, in this movie, by the way, we're going to spoil it. In this movie, she's like paparazzi or something, and she's getting paid to do this. So she gets the inside knowledge on, where celebrities are going to be. Obviously, is how paparazzi works. And after a meltdown that he has at a public event where he gets himself kicked out of, she then, I think the same night, tells him about this Starfinder app, which is basically an app that I believe they made it up for this show, but these sources are available where you can find a map and you can see which celebrities live in which part of Hollywood or the surrounding area. So knowing how much of a psychopath, like not necessarily a psychopath yet, but like knowing how much of a fanatic this guy is, she gives him the addresses to his favorite actors' houses. Terrible idea.
Not good.
Well, a lot of things in this movie don't make sense, from character decisions to just overall plot points. The majority of it doesn't make sense. So that is what I will say. My first note on this movie that I wrote down was, what is this street character performer that he is? Why is he this cop? this London cop.
I feel like he was and it doesn't quite fit because he's a London cop, but he really looked like the cop or the constable from The Young Frankenstein. But that guy was played by, it was a German character. So but I was like, oh, that's who he's doing. What an obscure reference, but it's not.
No,
you know what I'm talking about? The guy with like the hand?
Yeah.
Young Frankenstein?
Yeah. he's just doing a 1800s London cop, because he's even like references Jack the Ripper and stuff, and it's just like, who's traveling to Los Angeles that would be like, oh, I want to take a picture with the London cop? What is this character? Why does he keep doing it?
You do have these random characters all over Hollywood and in that general area, and most of them are people that you would not want to take pictures with, but it's their gig, man. That's how they make the money. So I think it was a point that it was like no one was really interested in his character. He wasn't great with his London accent, and you kind of see it come full circle towards the end of the movie when he gets his hand blown off and his eyes stabbed and stuff like that, and now he's a gory, zombie looking creature walking down, and ironically people stop and think he's a character in costume, and then now they finally want to take pictures with him. And it was funny that while he's fighting for his life, he does stop to take the selfie with him. I actually kind of enjoyed that scene. But speaking of the performers, so one of the most obnoxious characters in this movie was obviously the fake magician who fake magician, but yeah, they were pickpocketing their fans and stuff like that, and he was getting the real crowd work. But the problem, and I don't know how they overlooked this, and I don't know if you guys caught it, was when they were collecting money in the bucket, one of the dollar bills that was hanging over the side, they did a zoom in on it, and if you look closely at it, the money says for motion picture purposes only.
Yeah.
Which is
Why, no one had $1,
dude. Yeah,
why would you use prop $1 bills?
You have to use prop money in movies, and I think it's probably because of like serial numbers or something like that could be shown on the money, but you don't zoom in on it. Like or you zoom in on a different part of the bill where it doesn't say for motion picture purposes only clearly. And we get at the restaurant we've gotten counterfeit bills like that before, so we actually had one taped up because I had never seen that before. I was like, oh shit, look at this one's from a movie set. That's cool. And so we had it taped up, like, keep an eye out for this, because it says across it, right where it would say like in God we trust or whatever, instead it says for motion picture purposes only. And yeah, that's all I could look at when they zoomed in on that dollar bill. I was like, you've got to be kidding me, like cut that out, dude. Like that's yeah. Don't zoom in on that. That's the point. This is supposed to be like you don't notice it at first, but if you zoom in on it, they're gonna notice. Or at least I will.
How about cut out that entire subplot, because it doesn't do anything. There's no payoff to it.
Right. Well, kind of, because you see him getting, you saw him get increasingly more violent. You saw him strangle the guy. You saw, and that's where you see the escalation of his character becoming more violent, was when basically that security guard that's kind of his buddy or whatever, he's like, you got to start standing up for yourself. And then he does. And then they come over like, hey, we're proud of you. So you see a little bit of character development there with he's being inspired to get more violent and stand up for himself more.
Well, my favorite is like his partner leaves him and then he's just back. Like the partner's just back the next day with him, and they're bullying him in the bathroom after that. Not a good character.
Was that not a different character that he was with?
No, it was the same guy.
Stupid. Yeah, both those guys were just cartoon bullies. Totally, just really poorly written characters that were, just your absolute cardboard cutout villains.
Yeah, they were like the two bullies from Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, or Power Rangers. Bulk and Skull.
Bulk and Skull. Absolutely, yeah. That whole thing, the whole street performer thing. Oh, and then we're just going to lead right into my other big problem with this movie. He knows about the autograph signing. He's this massive fanatic, right? Would that guy, a guy that is that big of a fanatic, be late to the autograph signing?
Absolutely not.
Never in a million years would he have stayed street performing and not get to. And if they want to try to say it's because the guy held them up, like to try to help him, that was for 30 seconds. So that doesn't work for this. This dude would not have been late. He would have been the first one there, or one of the first 5 people in line to this autograph signing to get this vest or whatever it was signed. So there's a lot of that in this movie where like just decisions that are made just don't make any sense for the movie at all.
Would you say his haircut was closer to a bowl cut or a mullet? I know it was both.
It was just bad.
Isn't that called a skullet?
Maybe.
Never heard of that before.
You've never heard of a skullet before?
No.
I've also never heard of a skullet.
Oh, skullets are a thing. So look that up. everyone that hasn't heard of a skullet before. No, it's so weird haircut. His name's Moose. That's weird.
Yeah.
That's a weird name. Their weird flashback scene to when he's a child.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, this is the Cable guy.
Yeah.
It's the same exact throwback scene
yeah.
to the Cable guy.
I have an issue. Remember when he shows up at the guy's house for the second time and the maid catches him, or he catches the maid reading the letter and he accidentally knocks her over and she dies in the yard?
Yeah.
And then they kind of just leave that alone for the rest of the movie until the very end. It really felt like they were just like, they're like, oh shit, we killed the maid. We gotta readdress that.
Yeah, like you knew they were eventually going to find it, but I mean, like she's laying in the middle of the yard.
Yeah,
like someone's going to see
went
it.
by.
Yeah, and then eventually the guard. So I also have a problem with the end of the movie, but we'll get to that in a little bit. I do want to talk about some more of the scenes. I loved the scene where the what was the actor's name in the actor who was playing the actor? What was his name in the
Devon Sawa?
movie? His Hunter Dunbar was his name. So Hunter is in that actor, but he already knows that he takes sleeping pills to fall asleep, which was a funny scene where he's like, oh, you shouldn't be taking drugs, when he's just snooping around his house for the first time. But then when he comes back and Hunter is asleep on the chair, this was a tense scene. I thought it was hilarious while still being creepy, where he's just, watching a movie with his buddy, tucks him in, gives him a kiss on the cheek, is taking pictures and I guess uploading it to his own social media, which is hilarious. It was just a really tense scene because you're like, oh God, is he going to wake up? And then the next morning he's still there. He has to get out of there. It's like, dude, it was great when he went to go take a picture of him and he accidentally dropped the phone onto it, onto his stomach or whatever on Hunter. Yeah, he goes take the phone, drops the phone on the guy. Like you knew he was going to wake up there and he just kind of didn't. It was such a intense moment. And I actually really enjoyed that scene. It was hilarious. It was just a funny movie.
I thought that was actually a really good scene too, relative to the rest of the movie.
Yeah. But you had some other tense moments when he's in the house and he's going through the closet and you could just see his face in the closet. You knew he wasn't going to get caught there. Like it would have been, you had a feeling he wasn't going to get caught there, but it was pretty good. But overall, like the Hunter character, like he seemed like he was a relatively good dad. They tried to like make him a bit of a creep. Like they try to make it seem like he has, this relationship going on with a maid.
Yeah,
but
that's part of my problem. But before we get to that, I just want to get back to one thing that in the part that you were talking about when he's snooping around the house, when he's in the bathroom reading the script, he's like, this isn't a good script. He shouldn't do this movie. And I was like, that's right. Devon Sawa should not have done this movie. This is a bad movie. I felt like they were talking directly to him in that scene.
That's actually hilarious. Yeah, that's a good point.
I was amused by the Limp Bizkit car ride scene because that is just something that no, not in a good way. I am amused because it was like you're a dickhead because you had to put your own song.
Stupid and obvious. Like no dads do. Let's listen to some Limp Bizkit. It's like, dude, come on. Just the shameless plug again.
Yeah,
this was the problem with the Y2K movie. Was one of the many problems was like they had this great character reveal in that movie with Fred Durst, but then the rest of the movie was just a Limp Bizkit music video, and that's what we said last week. It was just so over the top, though. It's like, all right, you can only do so much to turn this into making it all about you, and then of course, next weekend we get another shameless plug.
You like the biscuit? I was like, what a bad line. I was like, I'm sorry you had to do that scene, Devin. I feel really bad about you having to do that entire scene. But to the point you were making, Jesse, I completely agree with. I think that who is supposed to be the hero in this movie? Because I actually think that the actor is a pretty normal, good dude all around, right? He's justifiably a dick to the fanatic guy because he's showing up to his house and
justifiably a dick.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like the kissing the maid thing, it's like, well, he's not with his ex-wife anymore, and it
he's
just seems
single.
like they had a fling, right? Like, I guess you shouldn't put someone that works for you in that position,
Right.
is what I would say.
Yeah, you're taking advantage from a position of power. But then it was also like, dude, read the room.
right.
Like she's standing there. It was such a dumb scene.
was-
She's
it's actually
standing
not-
there crying, and he just goes in for a kiss. It's like, dude, that is not like. Do you? This is your first time. Like,
Yeah.
This is not the opportunity for that moment. Like, what are you thinking?
Right. So like that's like the one bad scene for him. Everything else, it's like he's a good dad. He wants to be part of his kid's life. He doesn't want to go on a movie shoot because he's going to be away from his kid for too long.
Right.
Like,
And they even had in that scene where Travolta was hiding in the closet. He's getting invited to a party. He puts on the coat and he's like, you know what? I should just stay home with my kid instead. It was like another redeeming moment.
Yeah.
Chose not to go to the Hollywood party and stay home with his son.
yeah, it was a weird phone call though. He's like talking about that. He's like, I kissed the maid again. And then his very next line is like, there's a weirdo sneaking around the house. All right, bye. It's just like,
Yeah.
that's not how
Poorly
conversations work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought, and I think that's part of the problem. It's like, I don't know what you're trying to make me feel in this movie. Like, because it almost feels like you're trying to make me feel bad for Moose's character, but I'm just siding with the actor the whole time.
Mhm.
Like, like I think the actor is in the right the entire time. And I think that we are to the point you made when he kills the maid, Jesse, like he seems to be like he should be smart enough to know what death is. Right? Like that, like he's obviously not overly smart, but he's not incompetent to that level, is what I would say. So like when he kills the maid, he should know what happened there, like that she's really hurt. It's not just a nosebleed.
Yeah,
So
it was poor writing. I think they tried to have that moment get glossed over by him. He had mentioned, he's like, oh, that's a nosebleed. You got to hold your head up. Like she's clearly not responding. And then I think the direction they were trying to go was that he was so caught up in the moment of going back into Hunter's house, his idol, that he completely forgot about the fact that he had hit the maid or whatever. But yeah,
They
he was
they should have had him panic and drag her body inside. That would have solved.
We're just at least in a bush.
Yeah.
Like she's in the middle of the yard. Like there were multiple scenes after that where Hunter is standing by the window looking outside. I'm like, oh, he's going to see the dead body now. But no, he didn't. He's having phone conversations, looking out the window like, oh shit, is that my maid dead? Like that's what would have happened, but they ignored it. And it does lead to a huge flaw with the end of this movie. Do we care?
I would say
the biggest flaw of all time is like, what did he keep his mouth shut about it? Like he didn't know that the maid was dead outside. He's not covered in the maid's blood. He's covered in the guy that he just let go's blood, who's probably 30 feet away when he gets arrested. Like and he doesn't know how the maid died. But at the same time, it's like, he's a rich dude. He's going to get a good lawyer. The lawyer knows, like he's going to get off with this crime. So the fact that he would leave out the fact that someone just broke into his house, tied him to a bed, stabbed him multiple times with a fake knife, the fact that he just shot off his hand, his blood is all over the house. Like, oh, okay, there was a dead body outside. It was probably the psychopath that just almost murdered me.
Yeah, the ending of this movie is the biggest problem with this whole movie. It really just is like, wait, none of this makes sense. Not only does it not make sense logistically, like everything you just said, it also doesn't make sense, like the moral of the story. What the fuck are you trying to tell me with this ending? Like again, we talked about who's the actual bad guy here and why did you write this ending? Number one, it's weak. It makes no sense. Number two, I don't understand what message you're trying to get to us, if anything, or if you're just trying to tell a weird fucking story that doesn't really fit together at the end. It just made no sense. Why did you end it like this?
Because the other thing is that doesn't make sense is he can just call the cops. He was tied up. He shot an intruder in his house that tied him up. The ropes are still on the bed. He lets him go. Why wouldn't you just call the cops? You're not going to get in any trouble. This dude broke into your house.
And the other problem is it was yet another redeeming moment for him where he's like, why am I going to kill this guy? I just stabbed him in the eye, shot off half his hand. So he just opens the door. He's like, just fucking go,
Yeah.
And then he gets arrested. As soon as that happened, like of course he's going to tell the truth. Like the truth is, you had every right to shoot that guy. You had nothing to do with the murder of the woman that you're arresting you for. Of course you're not guilty. What is it? You just keeping silence? Like for what? So, I mean, like they never showed a court trial or anything like that, but they had alluded to the idea that Moose wore his, severed hand and his eye, gouged out eye as a badge of honor going forward. So they alluded to that Moose is a free man and he's proud of what he did. So what did Hunter stay in jail for a crime that he didn't even commit? Who is the good guy? Because they tried to make Hunter the bad guy, but they kept giving him all these redeeming moments where he's behaving like I think most people would behave in those circumstances. He's not a murderer. He could have killed the guy there. He didn't.
I'm totally okay with a movie where the bad guy wins, or the justice that you think is deserved doesn't get served the way you think it should in a movie. I kind of like that, especially for a horror movie. This one just made no sense. Like, I don't know what you're trying to tell me.
We got neither of those. We don't know who the bad guy was. Like they never made that clear. If you want Hunter to be the bad guy, you can do that.
I'm also fine with morally ambiguous characters. Like I like that too, but this was just confusing and disjointed and made no sense.
Yeah,
because it feels like they're trying to do one thing. It feels like they are really trying to make Moose the protagonist for some reason, which he never does anything redeeming for the most part. And they're trying to make Hunter the antagonist, and everything he does is redeeming for the most part. Like it's just insane. And
sucked.
Yeah, the ending's terrible.
Stupid ending.
Why is the paparazzi friend still his friend? He attacked her.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
Like, that's not how.
Didn't make sense. Actually, I won't even not even just the ending sucked. I actually thought the whole climax was not good, and it didn't make sense either. Like it just didn't feel, because he went from he snapped and choked a guy who was actually, wronging him and picking on him. He briefly choked him, to a straight up home invasion and tying your idol to his bed, and like that. It felt like a very large logical jump that didn't really.
Yeah, it was a big escalation. And you could say he was standing up for himself against Hunter, like whether or not he was in the right for showing up to his house, trying to give him the letter, whatever. Hunter had that moment where he, jammed him in the chest with that marker and, signed the shirt all aggressively and kept threatening him and stuff like that. So that was one of those moments where you're like, oh yeah, Hunter's going a little overboard here. But at the same time, they give him 10 more redeeming scenes after that. So I just feel like they didn't really have a direction with where they wanted to go with Hunter's character in particular. And was it an arc? It was just a lot of back and forth. It was like, he probably shouldn't have done that, but at least he's doing this. It made no sense. And it made the ending even worse, because you're not rooting for anyone in the ending. You're just kind of watching it to see what happens. It's a huge problem.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe the problem with the direction and not really having a direction was the fact that the director was just a redneck from Jacksonville, Florida, who happened to get really, really, really rich.
Yeah, and he was one of the writers as well. Yeah, so I mean, the directing, it had just as many problems as the writer, which are both Fred Durst. So, and then David Beckerman also was a writer on this movie. But yeah, overall, it had many issues. But I enjoyed the watch. I actually didn't hate it. Is it a horror movie? Not really.
Yeah, it's like a horror.
Was it scary? No. It had tense moments, some poor writing, weird ending.
It's hard to classify something as a horror movie where you're profiling the killer, right? Because that just hits more like a thriller. Whereas if you're profiling the victims for the whole movie and then there's a killer sort of in the background, that's more of a horror situation.
Right.
So
makes sense.
I think one thing I thought was funny was the opening when I also hated the voiceover on this. Like, I don't need the voiceover in this at all.
Yep, completely unnecessary.
Yeah, but when they're doing the first one and they're just doing establishing shots of LA, one of my favorite ones that they did is they did a wide shot and then they just did a zoomed in shot of the same spot. I was like, oh, we had very low budget. We couldn't even do more establishing shots around LA. I mean, they got a few more in there, but I would not have done that if I had any sort of budget. That's stuff we do for YouTube channel stuff, right? Where you're just trying to do that stuff because you have no budget. That blew my mind. I was like, okay, that's where we're going with this movie. But yeah, the voiceover stuff I just thought none of the characters made sense. I thought they set up a character that was gonna find the body. I thought the gardener was going to come back into this, and
He did. He was the
Was
one at
he?
the end. He was with the police,
Oh, so he did
and he
find
did
her. Okay,
the
I
moment where
missed
he
that.
shook his head, like, "Yeah, that's the guy," even though it wasn't.
Yeah. So there's that whole thing. It's just, I don't know. I just, it's watchable. This is a watchable movie. It's watchable like The Room. I don't think it's as fun as The Room.
No.
No, it's really not very comparable to The Room. I mean, it had moments where it's like, "What the hell are we doing here?" But it was
My comparison to The Room was because it was unintentionally funny, because they were trying to be, it's trying to be a good movie, but it was enjoyable for the opposite reason.
Yeah.
Like The Room.
Yeah, he just walks in. I think his first sentence is like, "I can't stay long. I have to poop." Like, all
Yeah.
right,
yeah,
dude.
that was bad.
Okay. Anyways, do we want to get into some scores for this movie?
Yes, it wasn't all bad. I did enjoy it, and I enjoyed it for the reasons that I already said. I'm going to give it a 2.5 star because it was. I mean, there are some positives. There was that scene that Jesse mentioned that was actually pretty tense, pretty good scene. I thought it was shot well. It was actually pretty well paced as well. Just really poorly written, and the ending was a disaster. So 2.5 stars for me.
Yeah, it would have been a 5 out of 5, judging from the movie that I accidentally watched. But the ending takes a serious toll on this movie. Writing was pretty poor. That first, I had actually forgot about that first line. I was like, "Dude, come on, we've been kicking this off with a poop joke." Anyways, yeah, I've got this one at I'm going to do a 2.8. It was I actually very much enjoyed watching this movie. It's not a horror movie, so
It's a
can't really classify it
1.9.
as that. Yeah. Oh, you got it at 1.9. Yeah.
1.9. I mean, like, it's watchable. It's not a mid-bar movie. Like, it's below. Like, there's a lot of plot point problems. There's characters that don't really do much in this movie. We didn't establish who the good guy really is in this movie, which it's not written well. Like, and a lot of it's some good acting, but there's Travolta's a fucking he's just terrible in this movie, which does make it fun because he is so terrible. I also like that they were clearly guerrilla shooting this movie, and there's that one scene where the guy's chasing after Travolta on the thing, who clearly saw that it was Travolta. It was just running after him because he was John Travolta, but they kept it in the movie for some reason. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, it's a 1.9. It's like a watchable movie, but it's a watch. You know what you're watching it for. It's to watch the absurdity rather than it being a good movie. So like it's definitely watchable, but it's just not a good movie, is what I would say.
Yeah. Well, let us know what you thought, folks. Have you seen this movie? Don't accidentally watch Fanatic. Watch The Fanatic if you want to watch this movie.
Yeah.
Or watch Fanatic if you want to know what I sat through for at least 35 minutes.
I might have to fire it up just to see what you were watching.
Yeah. I don't know where that movie went, but it had kind of horror movie vibes. It was just, yeah. Go ahead and do it. Let me know what you think.
Okay. That's going to do it for us here. As Jesse said, leave your scores in the comments. Next movie we're going to do is Until Dawn. It is on Netflix, so you have a few weeks to watch that to be caught up and ready for our next horror movie review. For myself, for Dave, for Jesse. We'll catch you next time. Peace.